Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to present to you guys about this scholar's named Syed Hussein Nas. This, uh, okay, we go to the next slide. Okay, this is our group member. First of, okay, we go to the first part. Okay, okay. So uh, I want to talk to you guys about the Holy Quran. Okay, okay, Holy Quran. Literally, uh, we got the word which is science. Okay, science definition, which is literally we can understand that science is a logical knowledge. Okay, that is a simple term for science, simple meaning for science. And the terminology uh, and the deeper or the more detailed the more detailed definition. Okay, science is a knowledge that exists from conclusion which acquired through systematic investigation and research. The research is done to build and organize knowledge in the form of testable explanation and predictions about the universe. and uh, and that is science. We know that in science we have like the purpose of investigation, hypothesis, and lastly we got conclusion and many other steps we have to do in 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 presenting something regarding science. Okay, next in Quran there is actually some some word that that stated the word science in Arabic, right? Okay, science is in Arabic. If we translate directly or in terminology, we can translate that the word science in Arabic is ulum. Okay, okay, science is synonym to ulum in Arabic. Okay, this word basically means knowledge, and as we know, science is practiced by humans for their well-being, and science knowledge is found by researchers who are doing research, of course. And therefore, to know about science, we as human must learn from those who know. Okay, in Quran, Allah says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ صدق الله العظيم. Oh, I'm sorry, because I didn't recite أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay, the translation of this verse is, and we didn't send the messenger before you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except a man that we revealed to them. Therefore, and Allah asked us as a Muslim or a human to ask for ahli dhikr, which means those who knows if you don't know. Yeah, in this ayah, uh, Allah asks us if we don't know, then ask those who know. And if you don't know about something, don't make any hypothesis about that thing. Okay, that is simple. And from Tafsir Ibn Kathir, the meaning of fas'aluha ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Okay, so ask the people uh, of the reminder if you don't know. It means that people of reminder means that ahli dhikr, and ahli dhikr simply meaning that those who knows. Okay, so this means as the people of knowledge among the nations, such as the Jews and the Christian and other group, were the messenger who came, who, who came to you, human being or the angels. Indeed, they were human beings, not angel. And this is a part of perfect blessing of Allah towards His creation. He sent to them messengers from among themselves, so that they could receive a message from them and learn from them. It means that Allah sent sent to sent to us His messenger not only to teach us, but to be a model, a role model for us, because the messenger is also a human. If the messenger is from angel, it is it can be as good as human to be a role model. Okay. Okay, in our life, everything that we know started from don't know. means that we don't know anything for sure at the starting point. Okay, and the process of knowing is called learning. In Islam, we ought to learn from a true and verified teacher. It means that from a from a, uh trustworthy teacher. If I'm not mistaken, sorry if I misuse the word. Okay, in the verse stated above, Allah says to Muslim to gain knowledge and learn from the one who really knows about particular knowledge. If we don't know, how can we know if there is no teacher to teach us? Okay, of course, of course teachers are very important in our life. Okay, there is no other way to gain knowledge other than learning from the true teachers. In other words, we must respect our teacher as they are the only way for us to know anything. Okay, or to know everything. Okay, then we move to the life and career of Syed Hossein Nasr. Okay, thank you.
Thank you to Mugat. Okay, now let we move to Professor Nar's life and career. Okay, Professor Syed Hussein Nars, born in Tehran on the 7th of April in 1933. He belonged to a family of respected scholars and physicians. Um he is a son of Syed Valiallah, who was a physician to the royal Iranian family at that time. Nars meaning giving the meaning of victory, which was granted to his grandfather by the king of Persia. Said Hussein Nars also has ties with a family of Sufis, where his ancestor Mullah Syed Muhammad Taqi Pushmashat was a very famous saint of Kashan at that time. Professor Nars got his early education include the Persian curriculum at the school along with the Islamic lesson and French tutorial that had been done at home. He had a very long hour discussion with his father regarding the philosophical and theological issues. Okay, next. Okay, next we move to travel, knowledge, and teachers of Syed Hussein Nars. Syed Hussein Nars joined the Paddy School in Hightstown, New Jersey, when he moved to America at the age of 12. He graduated in 1950 as a valedictorian of his class, and he won the Wycliffe Award, which was the highest honor for a student. He acquired knowledge of English language, science, American history, Western culture, and Christianity from this institute, this Paddy School in Hightstown. Okay, next, after he graduated from his uh, the Paddy School in Hightstown, he was offered a scholarship. Uh, he had been offered a scholarship to pursue his study in the tertiary level and become the first Iranian student to be accepted into Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and he chose a physics department to pursue his passion because he wants to gain knowledge of nature of physical reality. But heavily heartedly, he completed his study in MIT and graduated with honors despite being in an inte- intellect, intellectual and spiritual crisis due to the overbearing scientific environment and not getting an answer to most of his metaphysical queries, which was among the sole reason he joined the university. Okay, realizing this problem, he developed an inclination to the field of humanities, and he had enrolled in course which taught by Professor Dio- Diogo di Santillana, a very famous Italian philosopher and science history expert at that decade. he began studying not only the ancient Greek Greek philosophies, but also European medieval philosophies, Dante's highly mystical and symbolic Divine Comedy, Hinduism, and critique of modern Western thoughts under supervision of Professor D. Santillana. Okay, next. Next. Okay. Um, traditional writers such as Rin Guénon, Fridtjof Schwann, Titus Burckhardt, Marco Pallis, and Martin Ling played a very decisive role in Professor Nars's traditionalist point of views. Upon graduation from MIT, he pursued his study in master in geology and geophysics and graduated from Harvard University with Master of Geology and Geophysics in 1956, and he pursued his PhD on the history of science at the same university, which is the Harvard University. During his studies, he also traveled to France, Switzerland, Britain, Italy, and Spain. And this travel had widened his intellectual horizon. And during his travel, he also managed to met with the traditional writers such as Fridtjof Schwann and Titus Burckhardt. And a trip to Morocco dealt a very great deal of spiritual significance, where Professor Nars embraced Sufism thoughts that practiced by the great Sufi saint of Maghribi, which was his name is Sheikh Ahmad Al-Alawi. Okay. Professor Nars received his PhD at the age of 25, which is a quite young at that time, and his thesis entitled "The Conception of Nature in Islamic Thought" was published in 1964 by Harvard University Press. Um, he was offered a position of assistant professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, his previous alma mater, but he refused and returned to Iran. Okay, next.
Okay, next we will be talking about contributions. So, in field of
Contribution.
knowledge, in field of knowledge, students and career, at the age of 30, Syed Hossein Nas became the youngest person to be accredited a full professor at the Faculty of Letters in University of Tehran. Brought major changes in strengthening and expanding the philosophy program at Tehran University, and then he further initiated teaching Islamic philosophy on the basis of its own history and perspective. Encouraged his students to explore other philosophies and intellectual traditions from the perspective of their own, increase the students' awareness and interest towards Oriental philosophies. Other Iranian universities adapted and integrated towards these changes, which is still used until today. So he also participated in postgraduate doctoral program in Persian language and literature for non-Persians. Produced many foreign outstanding vital scholars such as American scholar William Shirk and Japanese woman scholar Sachiko Murata. Okay. So continued studying Islamic philosophy via oral transmission and text readings from Syed Muhammad Kazim Asar, Alama Syed Muhammad Hussein Tabai, Syed Abul Hasan Kazkini, Asfar al-Arba'a, Shar, Shar'i Manuma of Sabziwari. By this received the best of both West and traditional education. In 1979, after the Iranian Revolution took place, he began teaching at Temple University on Philadelphia until 1984, and then George Washington University till date. He's still teaching there. So he's author, coming to books, knowledge in books, he's author of over 50 books and 500 articles, making him one of the most respected intellectual figures worldwide. Appointed as Dean of Faculty and Vice Chancellor of Tehran University from 1968 to 1972. Appointed as the President of Arya Mehr University by King of Iran in 1972, and introduced one of the first graduate program in the Islamic world in the field of philosophy of science. Established Imperial Academy of Philosophy, which became a vital center of philosophical activities in the Islamic world, and published Islamic art and spirituality along with traditional Islam in the modern world books in 1987. So published A Young Muslim's Guide to the Modern World and the Need for a Sacred Science books were published in 1993. Collaborated with Oliver Leaman, a famous British scholar, to edit 2 volumes of work on history of Islamic philosophy. He's currently collaborating with his former student Mehdi Amin Razavi to bring out a 4-volume work known as An Anthology of Philosophy in Persia, which will be published by Oxford University Press. Next, we go to criticism.
All right, so let's proceed with topic criticism. Okay, so let's proceed with criticism. Okay, we will cover the topic of criticism, his ideas or views, and also his critiques. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So mainly Syed Hossein Nasr, his topic of criticism is regarding the modernism. So Syed Hossein Nasr is famous for his capability in the field of philosophy and also in the field of intellectual discussion, preserving the history or tradition as the basis of modernism. So for him, modernism is just a phrase created to represent the evolution of tradition. All of his ideas, critiques, and argument on modernism has been fundamental to the current work. Nice also provide his reader with a rigorous definition of what he understands by the term tradition. He considered tradition as the principal milestone for spiritual authenticity and an infinite source of grace. So we can see his impact on his view about criticism, especially in the Western world. He continued in the second half of the 20th century. This criticism give such a huge impact. For example, the Museum of Modern Art of New York itself changed its name to the Museum of Contemporary Art. When he was a student at Harvard, several leading professors would say we should make a clear distinction between the contemporary and the modern. Actually, this distinction was already made several decades ago, and a number of thinkers pointed out that one should not associate anything that is contemporary with the modern. Okay, so why modernism begin primarily in the West? So there's a lot of questions regarding this in-depth criticism, which is based on the full understanding of the nature of modernism itself. Syed Hossein Nasr told us that it is all because long before the advent of postmodernism, many intelligent people in the West were able to see more clearly than those living in still semi-traditional societies. West is where modernism was born and from where it was transplanted to other continents, where the phenomenon of modernism was an alien one. What was wrong, although at the time cracks in the wall of the modern world were not as evident as they are today. So next, we proceed to the ideas from him, Syed Hossein Nasr, towards modernism. So Actually, according to him, he usually used the word modernism rather than modernity to bring out the philosophical character of this phenomenon. Says him, modernism does not mean simply change and newness. It is actually a particular way of looking at the world, a particular philosophy based on the rejection of this theocentric view of reality. That is, removing God from the center of reality and putting man in his place. In a sense, it is a substitution of the kingdom of man for the kingdom of God. Therefore, paying special attention to the individual and individualism and to the different powers of the individual human being, such as reason and the senses. Therefore, it is a method of cognition. Its epistemology is based essentially upon either rationalism or empiricism, and it makes human values, the values of terrestrial man, the supreme set of values and the criteria for all things. He also emphasized that there are many other elements connected with modernism that consist of cluster of humanism, rationalism, empiricism, worldliness, and anthropocentrism that characterize modernism. His stand is very clear, and he distinguished himself from many other modern thinkers that for him, modernism itself is based on an error in the understanding of who man is, an error in understanding the nature of reality, both metascomic and cosmic. Next, Camaro.
All right, thank you, Aziz. Okay, moving on, his critic. During over 50 years of writing on this subject, Sheikh Hossein Nasr totally opposed to this point of view and uh, have stood like a firm tree against a storm. The principle is that it is we who must make and adjust the time in accordance with our sacred tradition. He told that social change is supposed to be independent of us, and then we are supposed to accommodate ourselves to this change. On the other hand, some say man is free, he determines his own destiny. On the other hand, some say there are the conditions of the time and we must follow the time. Although this is philosophically absurd, people have absolutized time and now people search how they should accommodate themselves, even the religion Islam, to this way of thinking. During next slide. Tradition versus modernism. His critique of securitization, modernism in the modern world is far from being an obscurantist attempt to um, idealize tradition. On the contrary, his attempt to re-establish the esoteric tradition has created new grounds for a genuine comparative study of religions. One begins to see here how much of his work has to do with tradition. As something alive and ceaselessly renewed inside, he would himself be the first to recognize that tradition is an ever-renewed vision of life. He reminded all of the readers the real role of any intellectual living in a spiritual and religious tradition such as that of Islam should not be simply observe what modernism is and then try to accommodate the tradition itself to it. Instead, first of all, is to provide a critical critique of modernism. Among the questions he received is that why Islam, Christianity, or any other religion has to accommodate itself to modernism. Perhaps why should not the modern world accommodate itself to the truth of tradition? Next slide, please. In a famous conference in 1961 in Delhi, India, he had mentioned this question. It is the first Congress of Oriental Studies ever held in Asia. In this Congress, they focused on discussing the possibility of changes in Islamic personal laws for Indian Muslims. Indian government at that time wanted to change the Islamic personal laws. They claimed that time had changed, and so should the laws. That night, Nehru was present along with Indira Gandhi and most of the leaders of India. In front of all of them, he said, if we have to change with the times, what do the times have to change with? This seminal question, which was then published in all major newspapers in India the next day, English, Urdu, and Hindi papers, caused a big commotion and in fact stopped the whole planned process of changing Islamic personal laws for a whole generation. Ever since he was a young man, he had always had this question disturbing him. What are the principles by which change in society should take place? And every single time, Each generation tried to apply the principles of the tradition to the world in which it found itself rather than changing the principles themselves to accommodate changed conditions.
Okay, next. Okay, next we're gonna talking about the use of Quran and Sunnah in his works. Okay, Islam as a complete way of life. From Surah An-Nahl, verse 89. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ويوم نبعث في كل أمة شهيدا عليهم من أنفسهم وجئنا بك شهيدا على هؤلاء ونزلنا عليك الكتاب تبيانا لكل شيء وهدى ورحمة وبشرى للمسلمين. Okay, so from the Syed Hussein's story, we know that he had played a significant role in the Islamization of knowledge. His interpretations seem to influence discussions in Muslim countries. In his approach, one important task is to establish the true interpretation of the word of Allah in order to live the perfect life in accordance with the Islamic tradition. Science, therefore, need to be Islamic. In its correct shape, it will reveal the true understanding of nature and increase our comprehension of the creation. That's why Simon Usenas state that science becomes good when it is in accordance with the Quranic text. Yes. So the second one is human as Khalifah to protect the nature. From Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 30, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. Okay, from this ayah, the verse of the Quran that contemporary thinkers in the Islamic world dealing with the environment referred to over and over again is the one in which God chooses the human being as his Khalifah. Okay, the most outward political meaning of Khalifah is the person who rules over the Islamic world. But that's only one of its meaning. The real meaning is that the representative, someone who fulfills the function of someone else. That's what Khalifah means in the deeper sense. Since God is the creator and protector and preserver of his creation, so humans is a Khalifah that must fulfill that function here on earth. And so the human is the guardian of God's creation. Okay, last but not least, get to know every mankind is a must. From Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 13, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. Surah Al-Azim. Okay, by referring to this verse, Syed Hussein Nas had clearly stated the importance of knowing other religions, races, and countries in order to become a humble Muslim. For example, during his life journey, he had studied the comparison between the Judaism and Islam and shown us that the two dimensions, as far as practice is concerned, have been always distinct. In Judaism, there is Jewish law, the halakha, and then there are the Kabbalah and Hasidism, the mystical dimension of Judaism. Okay, but in Islam, we also have the Sharia, Quran and Sunnah, which have been and always be our complete guide in our daily life. Okay, that's all from our group, I think. So we end our discussion.